So what this information is saying is that if you make any less than $86,000, the taxes that you pay to the government are actually less than the benefits you receive from the government. And if you're in the top 1%, you're going to pay over $377,000 to the government, more than what you will ever receive back in government benefits. So it seems like everywhere I go, I'm seeing politicians and citizens saying tax the rich. This has become a huge hot button in the political spectrum. And although I usually don't concern myself with politics, I am a finance blogger and a finance YouTuber, and it's quite difficult to teach financial education without talking about tax the rich. Now, before we get further in this video, I do have to address something right off the bat. I am the 1%. If you make $540,000 per year or more, technically speaking, you are in the top 1%. At one point during the year 2021, I had to write a check to the IRS in the amount of around $300,000. Now, I hope that Congress is going to take that money and tackle issues like helping all of our homeless veterans, or eradicating diseases, or heck, even something small like fixing a pothole, but we'll see what happens. So I have to admit my own bias here that yes, I'm in the top 1%. And yes, I think that I pay my fair share in taxes. But I did a lot of research for this video in my quest to find out the truth. Are the top 1% actually paying their fair share? And if not, how do we get them to pay it, and how should I pay it? But if they are, why do so many people still say tax the rich? Well, the first thing that I found in my research is that the top 1% of Americans earn 20% of all of the income. Now that is a huge glaring example of income inequality. You have people in the top 1%, people like me, who are making 20% of all of the income in the United States. However, I also found that the top 1% in the United States pays 40% of all of the federal income tax. So in other words, 1% of the population is paying 40% of all the taxes. Now, if we go back to that first statistic where the top 1% is earning 20% of the income, it would stand to make sense that 1% would then pay 20% of the taxes. If they make 20% of the income, why wouldn't they pay 20% of the taxes? But in reality, the top 1% makes 20% of the income and pays 40% of all the taxes. But of course, you always want to check statistics and make sure that you have multiple sources to back up these findings. So I found this graphic from taxfoundation.org, and the numbers in this chart are taken directly from the IRS. If you look at the right-hand columns all the way to the right side of the chart, you will see clearly that yes, the top 1% makes about 20% of all of the income. That is their blue column. And they pay 40% of all of the taxes. That's the orange column. And if you look at the bottom 50%, they make 11% of the income, and they pay about 3% of all of the taxes. So right off the bat, we have two things here. Well, we have the income inequality piece, because the top 1% is making 20% of the income, and the bottom 50% is only making 11% of the income. But the bottom 50%, typically the people who are saying tax the rich, they're only paying 3% of the total taxes, and the top 1% are paying 20% of the total taxes. But that's just one chart. Let's look at another one, because again, we want to make sure that we have multiple sources here, and we're not just taking data from one place. Well, I found this next chart from heritage.org, and they also pulled numbers directly from the IRS. Now, this chart looks a little bit different because on the top row here, it's the share of all earned income, and on the bottom row, it's the share of all income taxes paid. And you can see pretty much the same thing. If you look at the right side of the table, the top 1% in the dark blue box in the top column, yeah, they make 20% of all of the income. But if you look below that, again, they pay 40% of all of the taxes. So what we have here is a system where, yes, the top 1% are making just crazy amounts of money, and a case could be made that that's not fair, and we need to do something about that income inequality. But also, you have 1% of the population paying 40% of all of the federal income tax. And that high income seems a little bit less egregious when you understand that. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about, which is probably the most important part of the entire video, is understanding your net fiscal position. So the last step to understanding whether families are net receivers from government or net contributors is to subtract their total spending benefits from their total tax bill. As Table 3 shows, under current policies, all families up to the 60th percentile, or $86,000, receive more in government spending benefits than they pay in taxes. For those in the lowest income groups, this totals nearly $16,000 more in benefits received than they pay in taxes. Even those in the middle income group currently receives roughly $2,600 more in government spending than they pay in taxes. So what this information is saying is that if you make any less than $86,000, the taxes that you pay to the government are actually less than the benefits you receive from the government. And this information was found on taxfoundation.org, but it was prior to COVID, so it doesn't include any of the stimulus checks that some people got. But it did articulate that if you're in the lowest income category, you're receiving $16,000 more in government benefits than the amount of taxes that you actually pay. Now, on the flip side of this equation is even more dramatic at the top, where the taxes paid by the wealthiest families swamp any benefits they receive from government. On average, families in the 95th to 99th percentile pay roughly $43,000 more in taxes than they receive in benefits, while those at the top pay more than $377,000 more in taxes than they get back in benefits. In other words, if you're in the top 95 to 99%, the amount of taxes that you pay to the government on average are going to be about $40,000 more than the benefits you receive back by being a taxpayer. And if you're in the top 1%, you're going to pay over $377,000 to the government more than what you will ever receive back in government benefits. So you have the top 1% paying 40% of all of the federal income tax. And that top 1% is going to pay more than $377,000 in taxes, more than what they're actually going to receive back in benefits. So now, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do the top 1% pay their fair share, or should they be taxed more? And again, I understand I have a bias because I'm in that top 1%, but all of the information that I presented today is literally IRS data. There's really no opinion on that. It's literally census data directly from the IRS. Well, I hope this video was helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.